Yo, what is up guys? My name's Hakiii, and in this video we're gonna take a look at the best businesses you need to be rich in GTA Online. Some of these are gonna be a bit newer to the game, some are a bit older, so we're gonna compile all of them to make the best businesses that you need to constantly keep being wealthy in this game. We're gonna go from the 5th best all the way to the top. So coming in at number 5 is the bunker. The bunker is a very important property to have for several different reasons. It's also of course good for money making, and before we get into the money making, it's good because you can actually store the MOC in it. I don't know if you can even buy the mobile operations center without having a bunker at all, and the MOC is a very useful vehicle to have as well. That's one upside to it. But getting into the money making methods, there's both a quick one and a more long-term one. The quick one is a relatively new addition. It wasn't even in the bunker up until fairly recently. It's the excess weapon delivery truck. Basically, if you go in the bunker, right next to the entrance you're gonna see a truck with some excess weapons on the back of it, and every 24 hours you can do this really fast and really easy delivery mission, which is gonna give you a set payout of $50,000 unless there's a bonus on it. In that case it's even better to do, but you basically just drive the weapons to an ammunition store somewhere on the map. Sometimes it's gonna take like barely a minute or two, but if you get a little bit unlucky and you get a farther ammunition store, it's gonna take maybe a couple minutes, which is not the end of the world. Either way, that's one of the best quick money methods to do in the game. Now with the long-term money method, it's going to be inside of the laptop. You can go in and then you're going to get an option to resupply. You basically need to get supplies and eventually sell them after you get a good amount. There's two options to resupply. You can either steal supplies, which then you actually go outside and do it yourself, or you can buy supplies for 75,000 and then you just have to wait a certain amount of time and they get delivered to your bunker. In that case you do have to pay for them, so technically you make less money if you just don't want to do the hassle of stealing them yourself. Choose whichever one you want to do. If you want to make it a bit more of like a passive type business, you can go and spend the 75k, but if you want to make it very active and you don't want to spend that money so you get the most revenue possible, you can go and steal it, although it's going to take some time and effort as well each time. Kind of pick your poison on this one. And then you have two selling options. You can either sell it to Blaine County, which is going to be a closer delivery drop off. You're going to get less money at the end though, or you can sell to Los Santos, which is going to give you the max amount of money, and you're going to need to drive across the map and do a little road trip in order to deliver the supplies. But the good thing is you can do these in invite only sessions unlike before, so if you don't want to take the risk of doing it in a public, you really don't have to at this point. There's two other tabs to look out for inside of the laptop. One has to do with the long-term money method. That's the upgrades tab. You can do things such as equipment upgrades, which can like speed up research and resupplies, so feel free to look into them. They could actually be pretty helpful, but they do cost a good amount of money as well. And the other is the research tab, which is something completely different. Through the research you can unlock different Mark II weapon upgrades, and let's say like weaponized vehicle upgrades and special weapons on that. Some of the stuff in there is actually pretty cool and helpful, so I do recommend you go check it out. Moving into the most recently released business on this list, which is the Acid Lab. The Acid Lab is going to be inside of the Brickade 6x6 that's inside of the Freak Shop. So it's kind of a business inside of a vehicle that's inside of a building. I guess I'll just include the Freak Shop as a whole for this one. Before getting into the Acid Lab, something that has to do with the Freak Shop is the contact Dax on your phone. If you call up Dax, you can request Fooligan missions, which are a quick type of mission that you can get a decent payout from. I would say a couple 10,000, maybe 50,000. I don't exactly remember, but it's in that range, and they don't take too long and they're pretty easy to complete as a whole. Then you have the main storyline missions of the Freak Shop with the first dose and the last dose missions. Now I highly recommend you guys do these if you haven't yet, because you do get a first time bonus with each of the missions. I believe there's 6 first dose missions and 6 last dose. Doing them for the first time, on top of the payout you get from the mission, you get $100,000 as a bonus for each one. And doing all 12 first and last dose missions, just from bonuses, you're gonna get a $1.2 million payout from doing everything, which is crazy. And that's on top of the mission money, which is gonna be not as much, but the first time bonuses with the first and last dose missions are crazy. Definitely take advantage of them if you haven't. After doing those missions for the first time, you don't get a first time bonus ever again, so I mean, just do them for the one time. That's what I would recommend. Now the Acid Lab business inside of the Brickade works pretty similarly to what we talked about with the long-term method inside of the bunker. You get product and supplies and then eventually sell it at the end. You also have like equipment upgrades and things to speed up the process a little bit, but all in all, this is definitely more of a long form type money method just because it takes time to actually get the supplies and stuff, and then selling it is pretty easy though. For new players, this is a pretty good business, I'd say, just because it doesn't cost like millions and millions to get everything set up. You really just need to do some missions and buy the brickade or a part of a freak shop, and then you're all set up and ready to go. And then you have a set delivery bike, which you can also upgrade like performance upgrades and stuff on it, and that's the set vehicle you use for all the delivery missions with the acid lab. It's a decently fast motorcycle with it, especially when you do the wheelie and you have to go on a highway. The delivery part is no problem. It's really just waiting for the supplies and product. Moving into the CEO office business. To get started with it, obviously you need a CEO office. I recommend getting the cheaper option, which is the Maze Bank West one, so you don't even need to get one of the more expensive ones. I think the Maze Bank West is one of the, if not the cheapest CEO office. In the office computer, there's 3 different tabs. The very right one is going to be for special vehicle missions. It's not a great money method, but you guys can try them out, but just don't expect it to pay anything super crazy. The middle one is for vehicle cargo. Basically, you steal vehicles and then you sell them, or I should say source them. So basically you source a vehicle and then it's going to give you a vehicle level. It's either going to be low range, medium range, and top range. Ideally, you want to get top range every single time, but it's going to be randomized. The top range vehicles are going to sell for the most. Basically, you get the vehicle, then you drive it to your vehicle warehouse, which is a separate thing you have to buy as well. You deliver the vehicle back to your vehicle warehouse, and then eventually you sell it to a client for a certain amount of money. Now, probably the main thing of the CEO business is CEO cargo crates. Basically, you need a cargo crate warehouse, which is also a separate thing. It's very similar to how the vehicle cargo runs, just with cargo crates. Instead of storing vehicles in your vehicle warehouse, you just store cargo in your cargo warehouse. There's different warehouse sizes for this. There's a small one, medium, and large. If you want to go all out, I do recommend the large, but it's going to be more expensive than a smaller medium warehouse. Now, Rockstar added a really cool feature that can make this semi-passive. So when you go in a cargo warehouse, you're going to have a beautiful lady called Lupe. You just go up to her, press right D-pad, and then you can source cargo crates instead of you having to actually go and find them and steal them yourself. So basically, she does the job for you, and then you get either 1, 2, or 3 cargo crates. You want to hope to get 3, but it's going to be randomized every single time, so you just gotta hope for the best. Regardless, the cargo you steal is going to be worth more than the $7,500 you spent on sourcing it with Lupe. Eventually, after you fill up your warehouse to whatever amount you want, preferably you want to have it filled up at least a good amount, then you go in the little laptop and then you choose who you want to sell it for. There's going to be a couple vehicles you need to deliver. Actually, not a couple, but a few vehicles you need to deliver to a drop-off point, so it's good to do it with friends in invite-only sessions, and it is a very profitable business. Those cargo crates, once you fill it up to the max, you could definitely make a couple $1,000,000 filling up a full large warehouse, let's say. And all the extra warehouses we talked about, you can buy them all through that CEO office computer. Moving on to number 2 on the list, which is the best passive money maker hands down in GTA Online. That is the nightclub. The passive income isn't the only thing that the nightclub has to offer, but it's definitely the highlight for me. The passive income can be collected from the safe in the nightclub. If you go up the stairs and then you have a little like back room, it's kind of separate from the nightclub like dance floor area. It generates $50,000 every 48 minutes, which is every in-game day. That's a very good rate because you could be doing literally whatever you want in GTA Online. As long as you're playing the game, it generates money for you. You could be messing around in free roam or doing custom races with friends. It does not matter. As long as you're playing the game, you will generate money out of basically nothing. I believe it caps at $250,000, so you definitely want to check in and collect the money, but that's not the only reason you want to check in. The reason you want to check in so bad is because of the popularity bar. In the nightclub, there's something really important that's called the popularity bar. You want to keep that up to the max at all times so it actually generates 50k every single day. There's a few different ways to do that. The most popular way is to reassign DJs, which costs 10,000 every single time. And actually, the first time you hire a brand new DJ, it's going to be 100k, but every single time after that, it's going to be 10k, which is not bad because you're making a lot more money than you're spending here. And it's good to know that reassigning a DJ fills up half a bar out of the full 5 bars of the popularity. So for example, let's say you have 3 empty bars out of the total 5 on your popularity. That means you need to reassign 6 DJs to fully fill it back up again, and I recommend you do it in the basement level and not the main level, because if you do it in the main level, you're gonna get a cut screen every time. So go to the computer in one of the basements and then just keep on doing it until it's fully filled up. And some other ways to gain popularity: one is driving a drunken VIP home. Basically, it's gonna be marked on the map. It's gonna be kind of like a blue man icon on the map. You go up to him, press right D-pad, and then you just drive him home. And the other way is gonna be marked as a blue dot on the map. It's gonna be kicking out a troublemaker. By doing this, you just go up to him, press right D-pad, you get $10,000 and your popularity goes up. So it's actually very, very useful. The nightclub's pretty different from any other business in the game, mainly because it relies on other small businesses, mainly through the motorcycle club. For example, like the meth lab and the coke lockup and stuff like that. Now, the good thing is you don't have to have all those businesses fully stocked up and supplied and all that. It's good if you just have them set up and that's basically it. Now, that's the safe money side of the nightclub. The other side is assigning the different technician options you have to the different goods. The goods depend on what businesses you actually have, whether it's the coke lockup or one of the other ones. Whatever amount of technicians you choose to assign to whatever amount of goods you can actually source to, they do that work for you, and then eventually after a bit you sell all the goods in a delivery mission, kind of like we talked about with the bunker, the CEO office, and others. Moving into possibly the most diverse money-making business there is in the game, which is the agency. It is so good for money making. There's so many different methods you can do with it. In the computer, you have several different type of missions. You have security contracts, which usually take about 5 to 10 minutes, and they pay out anywhere from 30 something thousand all the way to 80 something thousand for the most difficult levels. There's professional level, which is easiest, then specialist is middle, and then specialist plus is the hardest type of difficulty. You can do them either solo or with friends. It's really up to you. The specialist plus I do recommend doing with friends. The NPCs absolutely laser you, and doing it by yourself can actually be kind of hard. Under the security contracts tab, we have the contract heist, which is basically a $1 million payout for a couple setups, and then finally the heist finale. Overall, it should take about an hour to an hour and a half to complete all of it. It does get kind of repetitive, so I doubt anyone will actually do it over and over and over again. Also, with the agency, you get Franklin as a contact on your phone, so once you go outside and you call up Franklin, the second option will be requesting a payphone hit, which are very, very good quick money methods. They typically take a couple minutes to complete, and you get an $85,000 payment if you do everything right, and it's extremely effective to making a good amount of money fast. Now, like with the nightclub, the agency also has a wall safe where you generate passive money, and how it works is the more security contracts you do, the more money it's gonna generate every in-game day, but it's not gonna be as good as the agency just because 50k a day is a lot. Still nice to have that passive income aspect of the business as well though. I tried making this video as short as possible and we got to 13 minutes, so I'm kind of happy with that, although it's still a relatively long video compared to what I usually do. I really hope this video helped you out and you did go on to find it informative. To run these businesses, you also need some fast vehicles to use as well, so click the video on screen now for the fastest cars currently in GTA Online. I hope you all enjoy that video, and peace.